We're laughing already here. We're just getting started. I can only imagine where this is going to go. We're downtown at the ISO bar. Thanks to them for having us. I'm sure you recognize this lady right here, but we haven't talked in a while in person. Michele Dionne, how are you, darling?
Great to be here. Thank you so much. I was trying to think of how long it's been.
Well, it's over a year. I know we did a few like during COVID.
On Zoom.
And
am I right? Or whatever something,
was,
yeah.
And then
some
I
platform.
think we saw each other at the Moose Lodge.
We did. That was the last time I physically saw your legs.
Yeah.
Right?
You were looking at my legs.
Well, you weren't on Zoom where you're halfway.
Yeah.
So, that was good. You were organizing a bike thing there.
Yeah, there was something going on. Yeah,
That's
something
right.
out or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I know we kind of see each other online, and I get your newsletters all the time, which I'm really grateful for.
Good. Thank you so much. I just had another person request to subscribe today.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
So,
it actually helps me with what I do, because if I'm looking for something to do, I go through and I go, oh, I could share that, or I could talk to that person. And
that's so awesome.
So it's a resource for me.
Thank you. Honestly. That was the goal. To have it as a resource. And it's nice because I have so many people that sit on the edge on Fridays till I do that sneak peek. So it's a nice way to give them some stuff in advance. It also, of course, helps promote Sarnia, that sort of thing. And then for me as a wellness coach, I have a little coaching corner in there. And just for a shout out to anybody, I'm looking at growing it.
And you and I are similar in a way that we like to promote the community we live in. We love this community. And that was something I wanted to do. And I was like, that takes a long time. And then when you did it, I was like, yes, I don't have to do that myself now. So you did a job for me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Because it is work to put that all together.
Oh, it is. And it's a commitment every Monday night.
Well, because the expectations out there too, that where's my newsletter?
That's exactly right. And it's so cool because I'm getting a lot of subscribers, but I'm getting interaction. I'm getting people respond, whether they're in bands, that sort of thing, or just asking me different information about the community, which is good. Always promoting it. It's amazing how much we see, and I'm sure you do as well online, where people say, oh, there's nothing to do here. There's nothing.
Oh, don't eat.
Oh, it makes me crazy. And I'm like, stop.
You got to get off your couch. Right?
Oh, my God. You know what? Effort is key, right?
Let's go back to the beginning. And it's, for those of you who don't know, we're talking about Sarnia Rocks. Is something that Michele brought to life many years ago, but we'll get to more of that. But in the beginning, you said you were born in Ottawa?
Yeah, so I was born in Ottawa. Well, it's an interesting story. So I was born and put up for adoption. I have 6 siblings that we were all separated throughout Canada, put into different homes. Some of them went back with our birth mom. My part of it is that I had a couple foster homes when I was a baby, and then my parents were landed immigrants. Dow had brought my dad here in the early 60s, and then they adopted me right before I turned 2. And I have always been here, Arrow Road graduate, went to Northern, and I was a girl guide, and I was involved. My dad was in the Art Christmas Aggregation and the Glee Club. Yeah, he was the original music man on the skit stage back in the 60s. So when I was growing up, and we went for dinner at the Chicken every Friday night or whatever.
Probably saw you there and didn't know it.
Probably. And my dad would start song. Like, he's the guy that would stand up and just start singing if he heard something on the radio or saw a friend across. So I was a theater kid growing up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I used to seat the people. I used to create a ruckus after the fact, back in the back, I'm sure. But with my dad, that was my world as a theater kid. And then my mom, she worked at Sears, and then she went to Eaton's. It was a big move when Eaton's came, right? And the mall was built, so that was a big thing. I moved away to Kitchener for a couple years in my late teens, came back pregnant with a child. So some life experience there.
Sure. Huge.
Right, really, exactly. And then it was probably not long after I moved back that I would have met you. like in the bar scene.
Yeah.
And
days.
right, the karaoke days. I worked at the Georgian shop for 6 years.
Oh, the Georgian shop. Wow.
We're really going down. I know. So you think of all the people I've had exposure to.
Sure.
Right? That's some exposure.
Yeah.
So I was at the Georgian shop. Then I went to the Canterbury. Do you remember, and some people would remember, so I worked at the Canterbury when the Ramada took over, but when I first started, and remember Don Cherries went in?
Yep.
And when I first started...
That was huge too when I came to this city.
It was so big, and he came.
Yep.
Do you remember? We were all there. Oh my gosh, yeah. And so when I started working at embodies Steakhouse, I was still in my 20s, 3 kids, I think, by that point, and we used to push a meat cart.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And it was, did you ever go? And it was raw meat. Some people watching, I'm sure.
Where was this again?
MB's Steakhouse, short for Martin Burger.
Yeah,
he owned the hotel.
That.
And
you talk about the Canterbury, and I think Coach Stop.
The Coach Stop was at the end. But when you walked in the main doors, there was a dining room right there, and it had Harp's Lounge.
Harp's Lounge, I remember.
Harp's Lounge. So we were the dining room. And when people would come in, the first thing we would do when we tell our daily specials and whatnot, this was actually my first public speaking job, where we would push this big meat cart full of raw meat, and we'd push it up. Anybody in the comments, please comment if you remember this. I imagine a few people do, I can think of, that are coming to mind. You'd push the raw meat up, and it's all on ice, and it looks spectacular, and then you'd give a presentation of the steak, the filet mignon, the different steaks of, different cuts of meat, and then the pickerel was always on there. And it was terrifying. It was not my, like, come from the Georgian
How'd you
shop.
get hired?
Luck, I don't know. Right place, right time.
I hear.
Right? I was
that was
nice.
a good point for you then, right?
It was a turning point.
Like you were, talk about getting out of the comfort zone and all
exactly.
that sort of stuff. That was
exactly right. And it was a real aha moment for me that I was doing the same job, and boy, was I making different money. Boy, was my...
well, and how old would you have been? Like
25.
Yeah, so
25 to 30.
You're kind of trying to figure this thing out.
Absolutely.
But then the money shows up.
Making change versus making bills.
Yeah.
Right? Like that same amount, well, actually less work. Because at the Georgian shop, you did the restaurant, you did the store, you counted the booze, you counted the smokes. Like our teardown was like an hour and a half, mopping everything.
Let's go there for breakfast or lunch.
Oh,
with my dad.
absolutely. Yeah. I know so many people. I can be out somewhere and see somebody, usually a very senior person at this point, and think, oh, poached eggs and ham. Like I remember that.
Wow.
But that was that's why I was very good at it.
Yeah.
Because relationships matter.
So you went to, wow, there you go. Well, let's back up
We're going down memory lane today,
No, that's
friends.
great. I love it.
Yeah.
I say this almost every interview. I say, you've been on my list. I got a lot of people on my list, just so you know.
I knew he'd get to me eventually.
Right? I'm probably coming for you somewhere. You have been on my list for a while, and I guess timing's everything, right?
It is.
And I think of...
timing is everything.
I was saying to Jennifer, I'm like, how long has it been? And then I think back to, the bar days and stuff like that. And whatever. But you went to school at Arrow Road, and I always have to ask, like, what was school like for Michele? Did you like it?
Not awesome.
No.
Not awesome.
What was bad about it, I guess? Or what wasn't awesome?
I was a completely different person, like we all are, right?
Yeah.
We grow and we learn, and
most of us
get thick skin. Yeah, most of us.
Some of us
some go the other way.
Same chair, but
yeah,
anyway, I know what you mean.
That's right. So I went. It's funny because we reflect a lot as we get older. So I went to Arrow Road until the end of grade 5, and then my parents moved like 4 blocks away, and I went to Woodland School. We're really going down back here, Woodland School. So right by Arrow Road, where you go and then it turns and hits the cemetery. And so that was that old school that was there. So I went there for a couple years. Here's me aging myself. that school closed when I was in grade 7, so I went back to Arrow Road. But our grade 7, grade 8 school trip was the opening year of Wonderland.
Oh, wow.
So, right?
I remember going there in high school.
Yeah. It was fairly new.
It was.
It would have been fairly new, right? So,
Nice.
so I wasn't super, I went through all those normal kid stuff. I had some bullies, wasn't confident, went to high school. Mean girls were mean.
Oh, yeah?
So, and then I wasn't, how do I say this? I wasn't part of the Northern crowd.
Well, because Northern, you don't have to tell me, but we're similar age, I think. And I remember Northern was the preppies.
It was.
And I went to St. Clair, which was I don't know if it was the druggies or I don't know what it was.
I'll tell you what it was.
We had 2 smoking areas.
I know, because I hung out there.
Yeah, right.
I skipped school from Northern
to go
to
there.
hang out at St. Clair.
See, and I skipped St. Clair to go to St. Pat's.
Oh, see? There you go.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny,
I had a
right?
buddy who went to St. Pat's. We were inseparable, and I had a girlfriend that went to St. Pat's. So when I skipped Fridays, I went to St. Pat's, to the point that other than the uniform, I think they thought I went there.
I had people thought I went to St. Clair.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I see you in the smoking area. And I'm like, but my boyfriend goes here, or whatever the scenario was, right? So I was very anxious to be done high school. I was so anxious to be done, I got pregnant. In my last year. Yeah. So I had my first son at 19.
Couldn't wait to be done either.
Yeah, oh my gosh, absolutely.
Because I knew everything and wanted to pay my own bills.
Exactly. Well, and I knew that, you keep learning through your whole life, so that wasn't the be all and end all. Like, you know what I mean? I was actually going to go through, this is so funny, I was going to go through and be a resource center teacher.
Oh, wow. I can see that.
Yeah, right? Because I liked the teaching part, and then I liked being able to have some creativity, because my vision of a resource teacher, which I don't think is around anymore because they're computer rooms.
Right.
Like, I'm not sure. But my idea of them was you'd go in the resource center and do the fun projects or watch the fun videos. So that was my intention.
My mother did that.
Did she?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And same thing, I was like I wasn't the good learner. I was a funny learner. And
D for diploma.
Right. Get me going.
Just get me out of there.
I had teachers gave me a 51 just so I wouldn't come back.
Did you?
Yeah.
I probably did too. Yeah.
So, but I mean, while school wasn't perfect, like you obviously got some life experience from that
absolutely.
That once you got out, I mean, then you have a baby.
And then I had
a teenager.
Absolutely.
So, and how was that? Because like back at that time, you would have been stared at. You would have been.
Absolutely. And it was.
And honestly, quite like.
Oh, and I even looked younger. Like, I think when I was 19, I looked 16.
Yeah, right.
Like, look at me now. I look 30.
Right.
35. So, 30 at least, right? But it's so true. So I think that was another thing.
So you got labeled a lot?
Well, when I had my son, I lived in Kitchener. This is a very neat experience.
Okay.
And when I win the lottery, which should be any time now, I'd like to do things regarding this. But I needed 2 credits. I was 2 credits shy of my grade 12. So there's a place so I moved to Kitchener with my boyfriend at that time, father of my 2 sons. So I was living in Kitchener. I went to the local high school. I knew I was due in January, which that was BS. I had that kid in March. But anyways, so I thought I was due in January. So I went to the local high school, don't know the city, nothing. And I go in and I'm like, I know I'm pregnant. I only need 2 credits. I know. I was always a smart, like I'd do the legwork first, right? So I walked in, I'm like, I know I have to do a whole semester, but I just need 2 credits. It was just so important, no matter what my future was. I got that piece of paper. I got that grade 12. That was my dad in the back of my head, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So they said, we don't let pregnant people go to school here. You have to go to this place. It was called St. Monica's House. at the time. It was a unwed mother's home where you girls could live there. You could do your schooling there, and then they educated you on being a young mom.
Oh.
I don't believe in coincidences. Everything lines up the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I was exactly in the right place I needed to be. So I stayed living.
You weren't offended at first when they said that? Like,
No.
you can't come here?
I was
But I want to come here.
a little, terrified, I think.
Yeah.
But then when you start thinking about it, I would be probably centered out at that school.
Sure.
And then when I went to St. Monica's house, so I continued to live with my partner, and I went there for the day program just to get my grade 12, and I did. But they had these great classes like life skills.
Yep.
How to do a budget, how to look for an apartment, how to negotiate, how to...
Things they don't teach in school.
Things that every mom
Money.
should learn. Money, all of it. So here I am, I was late 8, like I had him right after I turned 19. So I'm in my high 18s, and I was in these classes and finishing my grade 12 with girls that got pregnant in grade 8. They'd never seen the inside of a high school.
Wow.
Mind, right? Really.
Yeah.
So I remember sitting in that group and them holding up like a change pad, and there were girls in that room that had no idea what that was.
It'd be interesting too to like that situation at such a young age. Like even for you, that was super young, but at least you were kind of done
at the end of high school.
Right. But you're talking about grade 7 and 8 being
grade
pregnant.
7 and 8, yeah.
The stories behind that, was there the support group talks?
Some. So the St. Monica's house is still there, but it got a different name now.
Oh, yeah.
St. Monica's, maybe they took the
You ever go
Saint
back?
out. No, but I wrote them a big long letter and
Yeah.
told them how grateful I was for I got goosebumps just talking about
Yeah.
it. For all those life skills they taught me, all the support, and they would do really cool things like they had we should really eat our big meal at lunch. We can
Right.
talk about that later. But but we really should, and that's what they did. So it was a terrible relationship. No bullshit about it. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
But it was like a terrible, so there were times where like we had no food. But like because we were poor and dysfunctional, and it was a very horrible relationship. Let's just say that. So sometimes I went to school and that was my only good meal.
Yeah.
It would be a turkey frickin' dinner. Like they would do a great big meal every day at lunchtime with a little paper cup of your maternity vitamins.
Oh.
And everybody'd have their vitamins. And back to your original thing, they'd take us on field trips. So we'd go bowling or go to the mall or whatever. So let's do a visual together, everybody. You're at the mall, Conestoga Mall, and you've got 15 girls between the ages of 13 and 20 or 19, whatever, and they're all
out there going to the mall.
Yeah, and I'm watching all these judgy ladies, most of them quite senior, and we're in Kitchener-Waterloo, a lot of Germans, a lot of Mennonites, right? You're in a whole different environment. And there's a lot of them that are very judgy as we're going by. And it was, I think, one of the leaders that said to me, how old do you think they were when they had their babies? I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. They're probably married at 15, 16, had 18 kids by 30 or whatever, right? So I think that was really eye-opening to me. But as soon as you went and you registered, whether you lived there, some people lived there, some people were like me, Children's Aid was there. They had an office. So you always had an option between putting your baby up for adoption, or because we were all past the time of other options, right? So adoption or keeping your child. And there were some people that didn't decide until they had the baby or closer to when they had the baby. I saw some girls that were pretty much blackmailed by their parents to give their babies up. Just make the baby go away and we'll take you on it. Their parents were sending them to some like exotic vacation for a month if she gave her baby up. It's a real mind interesting, right?
Now, let me ask you though, like in all of that, Did you consider that an option? Was that ever an
No.
option? Yeah.
And
Is that because
That's
you
because I'm
were-
adopted.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly right. You know, I spent my whole life, I wondered. So my mom, like my adopted mom here in Sarnia, so she had always told me she thought there were other kids, but she didn't know.
Your mom's still here?
No, everybody's gone. Except for my bio mom, which is sort of funny that she,
Right.
just saying.
Yeah.
Out of all of us, she's the sole survivor.
Wow.
All of us have lost our adopted parents.
Wow.
Sort of interesting, right? But then she was 24 when she had me. I was the sixth child.
Wow.
She had 7 kids in 9 years. So,
Yeah.
you know, but I got derailed. What was the question?
I don't know that there was a question. You were
I
just
don't know.
sharing.
I was just carrying on. It was through that children's aid, though, that I ended up
I
the
asked you, did you-
adoption, right?
Yeah.
It was through them. So I never wanted to wonder where my child went. I also had in the back of my mind, what if I couldn't have another one?
Oh, I see.
Right? Like, just what if? What if something happened that was my only option,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't have another one? But yeah, like on my birthday and stuff growing up, I would think, you know, is she thinking of me? I always wanted sisters. Now I have 3.
Right.
So that was like, do I have a sister? Is somebody missing me? Like you get in trouble. Do I have another home to go to? Like it's always like in the back of your mind, right?
Yeah.
So it's such a different thing. And when I met him, he was the first person I ever met in my life I was related to. Let's process that for a second.
Who was that?
My son,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
right?
Yeah, interesting.
It is. And when I met, so through the Children's Aid office, they're like, do you want it? What's your options? I was like, definitely not. And they said, are you ever interested in finding her? And I'm just being honest. She might watch this. It's okay. So I was like, no, I'm not. But I'd like to find siblings. I'd like to know the story. And I'd just like to know if she looks like me. Like her, I guess I would look like her.
Right.
So they said, okay, well.
See, I'd want to find out.
Yeah, well, it ended
But,
up,
it's...
and everybody's different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So about a year after I had him, we'd gone through the disclosure process and everything, and then the Children's Aid lady comes over, and it's a real process where they sit, because they don't want you to like lose it. And so the day before she was coming, I went through this mental thing where I'm like, okay, I'm going to envision all the worst circumstances. So, in my mind. So, she's a hooker. She's on drugs. My dad's a John. Like, you just start, worst case, it's got to be better than that. Right? It's got to be. Oh, my gosh. And then,
you are creative.
all right. So then she came and she sat, and she had me on 2 things. One, she was 5'8" or 5'7", something like that, my height, long brown straight hair, big brown eyes, high cheekbones, and she was my weight. I was like, can you get me a picture? And I don't want to meet her. They're like, we can't do that. And then, so I'm born in 1968. And the other part that she shared with me was that I had a brother born in 61, a sister in 62, a brother in 63. I think Tina's in 65, Roxanne's in 66. I'm in 68. And then there's another one from somebody else, my brother Jimmy, who is 1969. So like 3 fathers, 7 kids within 9 years. My inappropriate jokes are just off the charts. But then through that process, I was like, okay, I'll meet her. I don't know why. I wasn't interested in meeting her, but...
Be scary.
Yeah, right? And then
what if I meet her and I really just don't like her?
Right? And you know what? Or what if I do? Because my parents were freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So then you have that loyalty too. Right? Is that like I never wanted to hurt them, and so that's the other part of it. And then my dad would say, like when I was growing up, just be careful because you might be really disappointed, which is probably why I went through that process the night before.
Fair enough, though.
Absolutely, and fair enough, right? I get it.
You could go meet and go, yeah, well, thanks.
That's sort of what I did.
Like, you haven't been around for, I don't know this. Yeah,
Yeah, that's sort of what I did.
Is.
So, like, we're
you.
friends on Facebook. I have her number in my phone.
Right.
It's the end of my story.
Yeah.
If I'm inspired, I send her a message. But
Sure.
and I've told her this before, like I met her after I had Alec, my oldest one, and I met my sister Tammy at the same time. My siblings and I are very close.
Nice.
Fabulous, right? I take charge on that. But when I met her, there was just like no zing, I don't know. It was like, I hug lots of people and love them.
I know you do. You're a hugger.
What I mean? I'm a hugger. It was another hug.
Thanks for sharing that story. That's I know you'd shared a little bit briefly with me before, but that's pretty in depth, and I'm grateful
right?
that you're sharing that.
You know
with
what?
our
I think
audience.
it's the first time I've ever actually shared that whole thing.
Timing's everything, like you said.
You know what?
One of the things I learned from you, and I don't know if you stole it from somebody or you created it yourself. It's okay if you copied it. I do it all the time.
For
just paraphrase.
Yeah.
Will this make your heart hum? I always what makes your heart hum? And whenever I hear that, or I use it once in a while, and I say, well, what makes your heart hum? And every time I say that, I think of Michele Dionne.
Good.
And was that?
I made it up. That's me all day long.
That's
all day long.
Well, I'm borrowing that.
You can
I
have
have
it.
for years, right?
Do it.
What makes your heart hum?
Because it matters.
Yeah, it does, right? And then I think that's where you and I are similar. We're both philosophical people.
Yeah. And we're helpers.
Positive sometimes to the point where it makes people puke.
That's okay, though.
You can't be that nice and positive. I do positive all the time, and I'm like, well, what's the alternative? And don't get me wrong, I was there. I was that person. I was that other. I was that other side, right? But you created Sarnia Rocks how many years ago?
Over
is that
20.
now? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be. I would say closer to 30, wouldn't it be?
It's been a long time. It was at the beginning of Bayfest.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want everybody to think that's the only thing that happens in Sarnia. That frustrated me.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was still a lot going on. And
there
of course,
was.
and now, would you agree that Sarnia is like a hub for entertainment?
Absolutely.
The arts, the music.
The whole thing, the whole package, right? Especially and I think COVID on a lot of levels was a really good thing. And you think about all the fallout after that, like just thinking about like in the summer where we have the music in all the parks.
Yeah.
I love that so much, where you can just go Free. Bring a lawn chair.
Thank you, City of Sarnia.
Right? Oh, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think that's so good. And just all the, we're an award-winning location for beaches and parks.
Right.
And for free entertainment.
Yeah.
When my kids were younger, this is the kind of place I would want to go to.
Yeah.
Right? Is that once you pay for your trip, your hotel, or stay with your sister, whatever that looks like. Yeah. There's so many things you can do that are not just draining you all the time.
Well, and it continues. I mean, the names change. Like here we are at the ISO bar, and we've seen I just interviewed John Mallon from Ups and Downs. He's super, Stevie D,
that's right. And
huge musician
bringing
supporter,
stuff back. Yeah.
Right. And and a whole lot more. There's a long list there. Now we see places like Mods.
And Roosters,
yeah,
and AJ's.
And AJ's downtown.
Yeah, he's doing 11 p.m.
I saw that. I was there one night when it first opened.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I was like, and then all of a sudden people started coming in and I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. I'm just a little too. Don't get me wrong, I'm young at heart, but I was like, okay, it's time for me to go because I'm going to be the creepy old guy sitting over there. Right? It's like, okay,
so
coming home,
funny,
Jennifer.
Right?
But yeah, it's a hub for sure, and you've been a part of that. Like you've been a part of promoting that over the years. Like I'm not sure if you've ever looked at yourself and go, like you're a connector. In that area, and you've had an influence on.
I love it.
Do you realize that?
I think so. I think, yeah, I do.
Like I've seen people make comments.
But I don't do it for that.
No,
You know
I
what
know,
mean?
but that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Because it hasn't gone unnoticed to so many, not just me, right? I watch from afar a lot of things, and I'm going, look at her putting that out there. Like you get on Twitter.
I do. I'm a twit.
You're a twit. Well, you're an Xer now.
Oh, right. I like Twitter. X. Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
For sure.
Now, for as long as there's so many directions we could take.
I know. I'm comfy. I got my water.
Right.
Good.
For as long as you've lived here, like you've done the runs with the Hash Harriers group.
Yes. I'm out of that. Like I'm not out. I got to get back.
I hear you. But you've been involved in so many aspects of the community side. Mm-hmm. How are we doing today? Like, let's talk about this. And again, I always say we don't have to go down any rabbit holes, but there's a lot. Like we're downtown. There's a lot of things happening downtown that didn't happen. Like I go back to the '90s when I worked downtown. Yeah. And how are we doing? How are we handling it? Yeah,
I think we're doing good. I think we're definitely going in the right direction. And I think it's slow and steady steps because we've quite often, and it's a common thing, we put the cart before the horse. Yeah. I think we're slowing down and like look at Mitten Village, what they're doing with the Mitten Village, the yearly thing.
Yeah,
kind
of like a block party.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then so they're doing more things like that. I think I can't believe, and I didn't do anything with my tie-dye this year with all the the markets.
I still have my tie-dye.
Good, I hope so. Yeah, good, excellent. So like all of those markets and vendor things that we do, like I see so much growth, but I think we're doing it better. Because like a couple of years ago when every Sunday, this isn't to knock anybody, but every Sunday or weekend, a couple summers ago, we were closing down downtown, and it just wasn't a lot of vendors came.
Yeah, right.
But there wasn't a lot of activity. The word wasn't getting out. People weren't whatever. So I think like we're sort of working through those, doing the advertising, doing the partnerships, right? Adding a charity, getting that in, I can't believe, and if you say different, challenge me, I'll fight you on this. We're so generous. Like anybody who follows the Sarnia Rocks Facebook page, I share everything I see. If you have an event, email me, whatever. But when it comes to somebody donating a check, somebody doing the scarves, somebody doing there's so much.
It comes up every time,
so much
every interview, and it has for years on the show. It comes up every time, whether I bring it up or a guest brings it up. It's like this community knows how to come together.
That's right.
Even if we don't like each other.
Yeah, we put it aside.
It's all like, okay, but this person needs the support of this.
Exactly
come
right.
Together.
Exactly right.
And it works, right? And
it really does.
And I've lived here all my life. I never left, but I know people who have been here, left, come back, and they say, I've never lived in a community that does that. So, and I think that's something that we're proud of here in this city.
I hope so.
Like it comes up in the conversation regularly for a reason, right?
Good.
So
that's why I share.
But a lot has changed for sure. You know, like the whole. Well, don't go down any rabbit holes, David. But like how we treat each other, politically incorrectness. Every kid gets a ribbon.
Terrible. I don't support any
of
it.
Are we going to go too far with that, or have we already and we're tired of it?
I think we're there.
Yeah.
And I think the elastic's going to give now.
Yeah. So
I am very hopeful for 2025.
What's going to happen?
Systems are going to break down. Mm-hmm. People are going to get over themselves, facts over feelings. And it's all going to right itself in the end. And
you follow Ben Shapiro, do you?
Who do you want to talk about? Ben, right? Candace, right?
But Jordan Peterson?
Jordan, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Did you watch, I'm sure everybody watches Joe Rogan, but like he gets these interesting people on that is just so deep and talking about the future. And so many people see it that there's so many things in our society that were established so long ago. No wonder they're not maintainable now. Of course they're not. We've changed. The world's changed. Our energy has changed. Our AI, although I'm a little disappointed they're not doing my dishes first. But
it's coming.
Right, because we're expecting Rosie from the Jetsons.
I love artificial intelligence.
Do you? My son does too. He's all over it.
I use it. I'll use it for when I make the post for this. I'll type in my feelings of the conversation, and I'll say, "Can you paraphrase it? Make it a little journalistic and lighthearted and fun and da da da." I always go back and read it.
So that's what you do, eh?
Yeah. That's part of it.
Absolutely.
But I put my heart into it first.
Exactly.
And then I'm just like, just help me with it. Is that any different than me if you were my secretary?
That's right.
And I say, I want you to take dictation.
Yep.
And you write it all down as I'm doing it. And then I say, okay, now can you kind of word that so that da-da-da-da-da? That's what you're my secretary. That's what you're supposed to do. Or
for sure.
Is it different than Grammarly or...
even our autocorrect.
Autocorrect. Is it going to take jobs?
Has it already been? I mean, I remember when I was a kid at the kitchen table, back in the day where we were all expected to just work at the plants after, and my dad talking about it. You know, I wish he was here today. He's been gone a long time.
We talk to our phones all the time.
Yeah, oh my gosh, absolutely. Right? Well, being a wellness coach with Weight Watchers, everything's through the app. There's no paper, there's no books, there's no.
I think it's
all through there.
I think it will take some jobs. I
totally agree.
However, if you learn artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and how to use it, it's the same as you having to learn Word Perfect back in the day, or Word, or PowerPoint,
or Excel, or whatever,
to do your job.
That's right.
And those that I'm in the middle of a couple of courses right now to be certified in it, so I can go like, all right, well, you can, So
nice.
I mean, it's now. Is there dangers? Do you think there's dangers?
I totally do.
Like
we've all seen.
What kind of dangers?
iRobot. Not necessarily that kind. You know, I don't really know, honestly. But maybe. Like, it's a little bit out of my spectrum. But being somebody that tries to make sure my heart hums as much as possible, it's not perfect. I'm a work in progress like everybody. Right. I don't overthink it. You know what I mean? And I also don't believe in coincidences. So I have hope and faith. They're free.
There's something else
that it's going to work out.
Look at the phone.
Absolutely.
It's not even a phone anymore. When the cell phones first came out, I remember I used to sell cell phones, and I had people say, "I will never have one of those." Now it's like, "Where's my phone? Where's my phone? I can't find my phone." Right? And it's not even a phone. It's a computer that allows you to make a phone call. Right?
Absolutely, but it's also a phone that lets you do two-step verification.
Yeah, 100%. Right?
Like when you look at technology and security, we need it. But you know what, Dave? So it's going to affect jobs. Full stop. We know that. But think outside the box. Mm-hmm. What can you do?
I like how you said that. It's going to affect jobs, but it doesn't necessarily have to take jobs.
That's right. So do something else. Think of something else. Think of, and we have to rethink our perspective of work.
We've got to learn new skills.
You know what? We do. And think about what you're already good at. So if you're somebody that really likes to bake and cook, and that's your forte, have you ever thought about doing a cookbook? Have you ever thought about doing a cooking class? Like, we have to shift our thinking to be, and this is where I was saying old systems, new world, right? Yeah. And I'm not about one world or don't go there, okay? Michelle doesn't do none of that stuff. I'm not into it.
Right.
But you have to move, like if you're going to school, think about getting into that sort of stuff. Think about getting into robotics. Think about getting into anything environmental. So we have to shift it as opposed to everybody wanting to be a process operator. Right. Just using anything this else. For an example, right? But if you embrace, like when I look at the wellness industry, look at YouTubers. I do this YouTube thing with my brother Tom, biological brother. We have a really good relationship. And we were just talking about that. People who are influencers and they've made themselves famous and made a residual income, or maybe their full income that way. There's a guy who started a really cool YouTube page, and I looked at how many subscribers he had. It was very, very high. The whole page is, Dad, how do I?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, you're a smarty pants.
And
I'm
honestly, you
impressed.
don't even have to have a lot of followers to make money at YouTube anymore.
That's
There's
right.
alternative ways to
exactly.
make that, right?
That's right. But we all know something. Every single human on this
You are the expert at something.
something. That's right. You just have to figure out what it is. So my granddaughter Alice is 10, and she says to me yesterday, because we had a girls' movie night last night, and Moana 2, it's a good movie, just saying. She was saying, well, Nana, so she's 10, she's in grade 5, Arrow Road, which is sort of cool, yeah. So she says, well, you know, I'm going through some career change ideas.
10 years old.
Because she wanted to be a police officer, or, which terrified me, a police officer or a hairdresser. And don't judge me, I pushed her towards hairdresser because a lot of different things with the police, and I feel like they don't have control. So that's not something I necessarily wanted. But it was an opportunity for me to explain to her about you have more control as a hairdresser because tips and that whole Georgian shop fine dining thing, right? So then she says to me last night, I've rethought it. She says, you know, I think I want to be a fashion designer. And I said, oh, Alice, I love that. And I don't have cable. I'm very selective what I expose myself to visually and audio, whatever. And so she watches a lot of like house flip shows and different things like that. And so we got talking about it, and I said, oh, that's so interesting. And I explained you could have a whole business staging houses. And that's also, you know, colors and fashions and blending. And we got in this big conversation. She says, well, you know, Nana, I have a pile about that high of all different things I've drawn. I'm living in that kid's basement. Yes.
Right on.
But it's that perspective, right? The freshness.
That's good, though.
I love it.
Well, speaking of books, you, and I didn't realize this, you said you've put out 3 books?
So there are 3 activity wellness books that I put out. So I'm just going to back up a little bit. So I'm really homebound. Last couple of years, I was misdiagnosed. I thought for years, and a lot of people who know me know that I've had breathing issues and coughing issues for years. I'm sure we had this. And I always thought I had chronic bronchitis. Well, I don't. I have a rare disease because I'm rare and unique. And it's actually my liver doesn't create a protein, so my lungs don't work properly. And it's a forever thing. 2 years ago, I was at 19% lung function. Last year, I was at 29% lung function, which according to Dr. Elzabadi is a 20% increase, which sounds better than 19 versus 29. But I just went for a breathing test on Wednesday, so I'm hoping I'm maybe in the 40s when I go see him again. But that's changed everything.
Wow.
And that's really made me struggle with my mindset, obviously. I was on...
Bit of a wake-up call?
Absolute. A wake-up call, a pity party.
Yeah. You're loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're loud. Just don't stay there.
Thank you. That's my favorite saying, right? You can lose your shit, just don't unpack your bags there. And so I have...
You need to write a book of quotes you've invented.
So I've got, so I'm working on my 4th book, but part of it is that I'm homebound now.
Yeah.
I don't go far. I can't drink. I can't dance. That means like I can't have fun. So
sure you can.
But I can. But,
I know it's different.
But it's a mind trick when you're sitting there and you want to do something, but you can't. But maybe I'd try.
I'm surprised you don't go live more. Like I've seen you do some YouTube stuff or whatever, but like, just doing that, just talking about it.
Yeah, well, you know, it's new, and I feel like and I still have my like emotional moments, but as I'm working through it, I feel like it's, again, no coincidences, a big part of why I need to have this as part of my life, because it's made me reflect. It's made me have an attitude of gratitude. Am I ever grateful for all the things I have done? Because I don't know what my future holds, the doctor says if
this could be the last day.
You know what? It freaking could. Yeah. Absolutely.
I know we say that, you know, like, you know, the song, live like you were dying, treat every day like it was your last. But do we really?
Right.
Like we say it all the time. Oh, you never know. And then somebody else dies really young.
I was just going to say.
And we go, oh, well, you never know. But then we go back to our life the way it was instead of going like.
And those aha moments, like you just said.
Let's sell the house and
you
whatever.
You know what?
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Where people just pick up and that's a whole nother thing.
But you've done that, sort of. Like, I mean, you didn't leave town, but you and your daughter, you went on the road to spread hugs.
Talk about grateful.
Right?
I'm so grateful. I could not do that today.
I was envious when I saw you were going, and I'm like, I think I helped. You had a lot of sponsors.
You did.
I was a sponsor.
Dave sponsored me. Yes, thank you very much.
You had a whole bunch, right, that sponsored you. And I remember watching the journey and going, oh,
it was so amazing.
I want to be in that car.
Yeah, it was life-changing.
Yeah.
And
what was life-changing about it?
Well, the whole experience. So we didn't have much, everything was through donations. Yeah. It was from donations. I had 6 sponsors. You were one of them. And we rallied together support. And my siblings were all, I found out my one sister, Tina, from Belleville, was flying out west. So we aligned the timing so we could have somewhat of a reunion when we got there, right? But then we slept in the car a couple nights, but we gave out free hugs along the way. Yeah. Free Hugs is a big campaign. It's been around the world for a long time. So we did that where you hold a sign and we hug strangers, but we're 2 women traveling across Canada. So we did that in controlled environments.
How was your husband with all of that?
He's so fine. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's like, see ya.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Hope you make it back.
Leave me some food. Yeah, thank God. We are a great relationship, almost 30 years.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And we're so different. And it works.
Yeah.
I do the whole Sarnia Rocks. I don't think he ever came to an event.
Yeah.
He does
Jennifer
his own.
Never watches
He's
my
a
show.
total introvert. Yeah.
Sorry, we're throwing our spouses under a bus.
That's right. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, right.
That's it. So, but it works for us. We're good. We don't have trust issues. We just do our thing. And and he was so good. And so what we did is, and I reached out to, because I know a lot of people, I reached out to the community and I said, I want to make this a random act of kindness trip.
Yep.
So we made over 100 swag bags. We got a lot from the community. And then I donated a lot because it's amazing what you can do when you have your purpose. So I would go to, I don't know, some store in the mall where they would have like $5 grab bags and you'd get them. And I bought a bunch for the swag bags, and it'd be like big superstar glasses, hair tie, whatever, big funny things. So it was our bling bags. And then we also did, I think I did 200 positive Post-its. So it would be, I am fabulous. I don't know. Because I believe timing, the right person will get the message when it's meant to be. So every dirty bathroom we stopped in, we went in, I put positive Post-its around. We stayed at some different people's homes that we knew. When I had time alone or I could secretly do it, I put positive Post-its all over the place. This one girl in Thunder Bay, we stayed at her house and we mined amethysts. That was super cool. But we stayed at her house, and when you open her kitchen cupboards, she made the mistake of leaving us there alone to let ourselves out. And you can get some Post-its that are long like that, more like a tab. So on all her cupboards, on the bottom of the shelf, you're fabulous, you're awesome, you're amazing, whatever. And
I love that idea.
It was so good, right? And then when she opened, she had that wonderful surprise, right? So that was really cool. I stayed at my sister's in BC. I pulled all her toilet paper out of the toilet paper bin thing, put positive Post-it in the bottom. Oh, wow. When I was at my other sister's, I put them, but I hid them because I feel in the right moment they're going to find it. And I'm telling you, 6 months later, I had people messaging me saying, I was having a really crappy day, and I looked, and lo and behold.
Well, isn't that the point?
It is the point.
Right? You know, you think you're having a bad day, just ask somebody how theirs is going. But I'm the guy that always says 2 words, relationships and impact.
Yes.
Put the 2 together,
I like
right?
that.
You know, and
Yeah.
you don't have to change the world.
No.
Just have an effect on one person's world.
And
right?
it might be, I always think, what if that person just said, give me a sign I should be here.
That I matter.
That I matter, that I count, that I'm relevant. I feel like my purpose here, one of them, is to say, yeah, we need you. You matter. Like, please wake up tomorrow.
You're so genuine in the things that you do, like from
Thank
a hug
you.
to like even when you came here and I gave you a hug, like you can feel a real hug.
Yeah,
And then
good.
there's like right.
The limp hug.
But I
That's
mean,
right.
I even remember going back to the Sarnia Rocks Awards that
Yeah.
you did for.
I was thinking
was
I
a
might
couple-
start that up again.
Why not?
It was fun,
Let's do it together.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
So many people in the community.
New
that could be
year,
recognized.
2025.
Yeah, why not?
It's a great idea. That was fun.
Do you have like a book full of ideas, or is it just all in that brain of yours and all of a sudden it explodes and you spew
It's
it
in,
out?
it's in my meditating brain.
Yeah.
So because since I've been not great, so
Yeah.
I pick my words carefully.
Yeah.
I've got back into my meditating and into self-help, self-care, all that sort of stuff. And I find sometimes I meditate and I don't want to sound like woohoo, but I meditate and like I get up and I go right to the computer and I do something amazing,
Yeah.
like my first book. So
Right.
this ties in. So I'm at home. I don't go very far. I work 2 jobs, one full-time, one part-time. Both of them are for home, except for I'm a Weight Watcher. I'm one of the 2 only Weight Watcher coaches
Yep.
in the area. So I have one meeting. Please join if you're interested. One meeting at the Kiwanis Center every Wednesday night at 6. And that's the only time I leave my house.
Yeah.
Right? Except for I have weekly infusions now,
Right.
which is a good time. Such a good time. Sometimes my face swells up like a Cabbage Patch doll. That's a good time too. I got color. But perspective matters,
Yeah,
right?
100% it does.
So working on my own mindset, when I met the specialist, I said, hi, I'm Michele Dionne. I'm going to be a miracle. I'm not even kidding. I'm not going out this way.
Put it
Right?
out to the universe,
It's
right?
really motivated me. So trying to stay in my own mindset, getting myself back to my own basics. I've got into my meditating again, and brought when I bring other people in, it forces accountability.
Yeah.
Right? So
I agree.
I've got a meditation group. I post every couple days. That keeps me accountable. But then I've also started doing like the positive post-its, but doing it for myself. So I made this book that you can buy off Amazon, and it's all positive messages. You cut them out. You can fill in some of your own every morning, and I've been sharing some on Facebook. I pull a positive message. I am strong, and that's my mantra for the day. Something's going on. Oh my gosh, no, I am strong.
Well, it's a simple concept, really.
It
I mean, it
is.
has been that, look in the mirror and tell yourself these 3 things.
Absolutely.
But
People draw
that's great
cards
that you-
all the time.
yeah.
This
and
is
you
my.
say this is your book. It's
This,
on Amazon.
and you know what? I'm going to give you one. I
cool.
couldn't go back in that. Whatever. I have one for you.
Okay,
And you
great.
and Jennifer can cut it. You got to cut it out.
Yeah.
But then just every day, pull one. Some are personalized. I kept them very economical because
One of the-
growth over time.
Yeah,
right?
it's great. One of the things
Yeah.
we're starting is taking a jar actually and writing something positive that happened that
Nice.
week and putting it in a jar.
Yep.
And then 2026,
Nice.
we'll open it up and read through everything, and then
Perfect.
you kind of reflect on like,
That's right.
You think life's not going so well, but you're like, well, look where we were and look where we are.
That's right. Exactly right. And that's where your perspective. And if you're always looking for negative, I guarantee you're going to find
You'll
it.
find it for sure.
And it's going to pop. It's going to jump out.
Yeah.
Instead of, having the It sucks that I have physical stuff going on, but you know what? I'm not on full-time oxygen.
Yeah, right.
I woke up today. I'm able to carry 2 jobs,
Yeah,
right? Like somebody didn't wake up today.
Don't you wish we taught this kind of stuff in school?
I so do, and that's why I work.
Why don't we? I wonder. Why don't they
know.
let that in? Have you ever thought of going to a school and saying, hey?
I
me
might
come
at
and
some
talk to you.
point. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
that, you know, like, well, everybody who knows me knows I go to school, get good grades, get a good job, live happily ever after isn't necessarily accurate anymore.
It's
that was
not.
something that was created like 100 years ago for
Absolutely
our
true.
dads to work
That's
in the
right.
fields and whatever.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but if today you had young children again, would you homeschool them?
I would.
Yeah.
Great question. I would. Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
want to think about that? You've obviously thought about that.
I've thought about
You've
it.
answered
I've
right
had the
away.
conversations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would definitely do that. And I think I would help some other families do it too. Like, you know what I mean? I
Yep.
see some people. I have a friend, Angie. She homeschools and she does like field trips with other homeschooling families.
Nice.
I send her things. What was the one thing I just sent her the other day? And it's on earthing and grounding.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so she does like science with her kids. So I'm like, here, because it has science studies in it.
Right.
So, and then there's some other things I've sent her because she does themes. I know.
What don't you do?
You know, I do whatever makes my heart hum. And I'm so glad you brought that up because
It's true.
it always goes back to that. And I think back and I think I've tried so many things, but I'm not trying it. I'd love to be a millionaire. Let's not be crazy. But I'm not trying it all, like, as long as my needs are met, I'm happy. It's not for that. I managed a band for the experience. After the band broke up, I didn't go looking for another band. I enjoyed the experience. See what I mean?
Keep it
Like,
close to your heart.
yeah,
'cause
I
it
keep
makes you hum.
exactly. It's just like when I am, and I talk about this as a wellness coach. I don't need anything that doesn't give me joy,
Right.
right?
That's a great place to end this right now. I wish
Yeah.
we like
Oh, it's probably
we could do
5
a 4
o'clock.
we could
or
do
I
a
don't
4
know,
we could do a
10
4-hour
o'clock.
special on you and what you've done. And
Oh, for sure.
And I know we don't hang out a lot or whatever, but I'm watching just so you know.
thank you.
I know that sounds creepy. I'm watching you, but I watch from afar and am grateful for what you've done in our community.
Thank you. I
and
appreciate
you've
that.
Inspired me in moments and stuff. So thank you,
Oh,
Michele. I
you're very
appreciate it.
welcome.
We're gonna hug after.
Yeah, that's right.
But you can go check her out online, Michele Dionne, sarniarocks.com. And I don't know, I got a feeling you and I are going to be doing some
Good.
stuff
I
together.
look forward to that.
Right?
That's
Thanks
awesome.
for watching, everybody. And I always say click the like, the love, but please click the share button to share Michele's story and everybody else. But as always, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time right here on the show.
That's right.
Go make your heart hum.
Peace. That's